Today, I'm really excited to welcome back Dr. Ursula Kampmann, who we spoke to about a month ago. Ursula is an experienced numismatic scholar, curator, award-winning book author, journalist, and founder, owner of Numismatica, which is a weekly international news blog. And Ursula first came on the podcast about a month ago and told us a lot more about the European and international dynamic with rare coins. And today, she's in London for the Coinex Fair, which is a large coin show, and she has a special guest with her today. His name is David Guest, and he's an independent coin dealer in London. He is one of the world's specialists in British coinage. He has a degree in history from Cambridge University, where they have a famous research department of medieval coinage and ancient medieval British monetary history, everything that you would need to know about to be excellent at British numismatics. He worked for years at CNG, which has traditionally been an American company. He was the director in London, and most recently has started his own business called David Guest Numismatics. And in his specialty, he was recently asked to do expert cataloging for a company called Numismatica Ars Classica, a very large auction company in Switzerland. And NAC, as they are called, has just recently been authorized to sell one of the greatest world coin collections ever to hit the market called the Traveler Collection. I'm sure you're going to start hearing a lot more about this over time, especially if you're interested in world coins. There's a few US coins in there, but there's some amazing world coins that are never seen the light of day, new issues for cataloging and things like that. I even told my buddy Art Friedberg, there's coins in here that aren't in your world gold catalog. So we're going to learn a little bit more about what's in the Traveler Collection today from David Guest, and we're going to learn more about what's going on in London for this Coinex Fair. So, thank you both for joining me and our audience. It's wonderful to meet you, David. I don't think we've met in
Thank you.
person.
No, we haven't before. No, it's a pleasure to meet you too, John.
Lovely to have you. Thank you for taking the time during the busy Coinex Fair and all the things that are going on to sit down and talk with us here at Gray Sheet and Market Report and give us an update, because as we found out talking to Ursula last month, that American viewers are really interested in seeing what the hobby looks like worldwide. So it's
Okay.
just wonderful to have you.
No, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Super. Ursula, why don't you tell us why you're in London? Give us a little background about what's happening.
About what's happening. First of all, London is the center of the art market and the numismatic market in Europe. Full stop. It has been the center for centuries. And I promised you a fun fact. You know why London is the center of the art market?
I do not.
No, not any idea.
Well, I'm not going to even take a guess because I'll be wrong.
It's the French Revolution.
Oh,
Because
obviously.
during the French Revolution, a lot of the French nobles had to flee from France, and they brought, of course, stuff they could sell. And here in London, the art market took this material and sold it. So we had a very active art market, and since then, London has developed as the center of art market and, of course, of the numismatic market. So
Interesting.
it dates back a very, very long time that London overtook the Netherlands, who used to be before the biggest art market worldwide.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. I mean, I know London is also the center for insurance companies and things like that, like Lloyd's and of course Sotheby's and
Exactly.
Christie's, which sprouted, I suppose, from that. That's a very interesting factoid. I appreciate that. That's
Yes, and but that's long ago. Right now, I'm not here because of the French Revolution, but because there is every year Coinex. And Coinex, I think it exists now for 50 years or something
It's
like
over
that.
50 years now.
Yeah,
We had our 50th a few years ago.
a
Yeah.
few years ago, I think I remember the birthday cake. So it's a very, very important coin show, and for me, it's so fascinating that Coinex is one of these coin shows you don't even need people to come in, because it's a very, very important meeting point for the dealers who are interacting at the market, at this coin show. So it's a time when everybody is coming in order to see all the to do the viewing of the auction sales that are coming up. It's a time when everybody is here, and you will see the most precious coins around when you're walking the floor and seeing what people are bringing in order to be viewed or in the catalogs, or it's
or to be sold on the
yeah,
floor.
of course.
When Ursula arrived today, I was frantically trying to price up some new stock to take to the show. So it's you've got a lot of auction houses previewing lots, and we'll be previewing some lots at the show, but also there are dealers bringing stock for sale as well.
Interesting. So the show today's Thursday, September 25. So is the show starts tomorrow on Friday, and it can.
The show starts tomorrow, and it's only a 2-day show. So I mean, it's quite small fry compared to the big US shows, which go on for 5-6 days.
But I think the turnaround is really, really high at Coinex.
Yeah, you do have a good turnaround, and you also have a lot of auction houses here in London hold auctions to time them, knowing that there's going to be a lot of people coming in from the States, from Europe, and from the Far East. So it really becomes an international hub for the coin trade around these weeks,
especially
around
the Far East.
show.
Especially the Far East is very, very important here in London.
Yes, there's a huge following, especially for British coins from the Far East. Japan has a long tradition of collecting British coins, and we've seen that in recent years, going further afield into mainland China. And you've traditionally had a lot of collectors in places like Singapore. So so the Far East is a big market for British coins.
And do not forget the Near East. London is one of the centers, I would say, for Islamic coins.
That's true. Yep, it's traditionally been a very strong center, and the biggest prices realized in the London rooms have been for Islamic coins. So we'll also have a lot of visitors at the show and visiting the different houses this week from the Near East and from India, from South Asia. Obviously, we have a lot of ties to the subcontinent. So we have a lot of Indian collectors and dealers who will be flying in for the show. So it's a very cosmopolitan international event.
And to give you an impression, when you're looking at the 10 most expensive coins that exist worldwide, it's either US or it's Islamic. So Islamic coins is the only field that can compete concerning the prices with the US coinage. Would you agree?
I'd agree, though. I think we have seen some British coins getting up there, not quite to the heady heights of a 1933 double eagle, but certainly in the seven figure bracket. And we're going to look at some coins today that from the Traveller collection that also are in that upper 7-figure tier.
Yeah, I think any coin that gets into the 7-figure tier is worthy of discussion and really a top. I don't know if it's top 10 or top 20, but and also I would like to comment on your saying that your show isn't like one of our very big long shows, but we really only have the A&A that represents this kind of marathon event. Most of the best American coin shows take place over 2 to 3 days, and it's really, as I'm sure you experienced there, it's all about being there first and early, and then it's over very quickly in a certain sense. And retail collectors might come and wander, but the big money is transacted early.
Yeah, I think that probably applies to shows the world over. Yeah,
sure. So how many dealers will come to that show and about?
Oh, I wouldn't. I should really know because I'm on the BNTA council, but I'm not in charge of organizing the show. I think we'll probably have about 50 dealers, but it will be a mix of dealers and auction houses. A trend that we've seen, I think, in the States as well, is we've had a lot more material going through auction in recent years. And and less dealers holding the big stocks that they would have, say, 20, 30, 40 years ago. So a lot of table holders will be auction houses, and hopefully
Hmm.
they'll be bringing actual coins to look at rather than literature, which is always rather depressing. When you go to a coin show and there aren't coins on show on every table.
That's
But
right. That's
And
right.
what I want to add is that the 50 dealers behind the tables are only a part of the dealers who are coming.
Right.
So most of the auction houses are sending somebody. I would say that at least double the number of dealers who is behind the table is attending
oh
the
yeah,
shows.
I should think, yeah, more than that
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, I mean we've had in the office today, I think we've had about 10 different dealers, and I only think one of them has a table at the show. So there are a lot of players in town.
Mm.
Yeah, I understand. It's one of these kind of power center kind of shows, and I don't personally believe that it gets the credit here in the United States that it should. For example, so there's actually a competing coin show this weekend in Chicago, which many of the American dealers have gone to. And it's just a typical coin show. It's the first time they're having it in Chicago. Um,
Okay.
but people will generally travel, and this is also one of the topics Ursula and I have discussed, which is the difficulty in American dealers and European dealers traveling with stocks across borders in this day and age.
Well,
So
that is a challenge, and I'm
Yeah.
afraid we haven't have to put our hands up, made it any easier
mhm,
since Brexit here in the UK, which has previously we were part of the European Customs Union. Now we have a hard border, and it is a shame because it has hurt some of the attendance of European dealers coming to Coinex who would bring inventory
Yeah.
in the past,
Yeah.
and now the logistics of doing that, it's too expensive to make it work unless you're really at the upper level of the trade.
right,
The
right.
other
So
hand, on
I
the
mean, you
other
end up bringing literature. You know what I
Yes,
mean? You end up
exactly. I mean, yeah,
bringing
Yeah.
literature because that's easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what we have seen.
But on the
Mhm.
other hand, there are still many, many British dealers who have a stock and who are bringing fresh material to the Coinex. So a lot of people are coming to buy.
Mhm. So, David, I think that's just one thing to jot down in your notes if you're on the board of this coin show, is that we should try to do something next year to help give awareness to the show here in the United States, with enough months, because just about every coin dealer I know, my friend, would love to visit London what's a good excuse to come to London anyway,
Yeah,
and to come and see, come to the show and see some of these inventories. And, we're always looking for ways to expand our reach as dealers, whether, American dealers would love to get into, British coins, and we certainly would like to get into the Asian markets and things like that, that this would be a very
absolutely.
compelling thing for us to do as a community.
Absolutely. No, I think there's definitely opportunities there for
Sure.
synergies.
And I have
Awesome.
the feeling that we should show a few of the coins in order to show what they would expect when they are coming to Great Britain. How
Perfect.
pretty European coins could be and how impressive
And
they could.
how old
Yeah,
compared to
yeah,
some of the
yeah.
American coins. Yeah.
Excellent segue, Ursula. Thank you.
So I'll show you my favorite. Look at that.
Okay, it's large.
It's large. It's large. It's from 1629. It's an emperor of the Holy Roman Empire on it.
Actually, before it was struck before he
Exactly.
was a king at the time.
Exactly. It was struck because his father wanted to make him king. Perhaps you are not aware that kings were in this time in history. They were not hereditary kings, but they were elected by a gremium of nobles. And the problem was to convince that gremium of nobles in order to elect the son of the king. And the Habsburg, they did quite well. They managed to do that for centuries. And here you see one of the reasons why they managed to do so, because they had all these diplomatic gifts distributed. And this is one of these diplomatic gifts that is worth 100 ducats. And you can see here below the number 100. You can
Okay.
see the young son of the emperor.
Yeah, I think he'd already was a king, in fact.
Yes,
at this point,
he
he was
was
the king of Bohemia by this point, but
Bohemia and Hungary.
he wanted to be the heir to the
German
emperor, heir to the German
exactly.
Empire.
Exactly.
So
So
they handed this out. So they handed out this coin to multiple people to say, "Hey, we're I don't know, we're bribing you, or we're trying to
no,
schmooze
that
you."
was no bribery at all. You have to imagine that at that time it was customary at 2 occasions in the year to give out presents, on the birthday and on the New Year. And so coins were the most common present. So you handed out that to the diplomat, and he was bringing that to the person who had sent him on his diplomatic mission, or perhaps when you did give it directly to
Another
A local lord, to a
noble.
lord or something. Yeah,
Yes,
noble.
something like that.
So and you'd have to have big pockets, I would think, to put that in your pocket. You know, like
Yeah, I think it would tear a hole in most pockets. Yeah,
I think most of them were either melted down or put into the coin collection. At that time, coin collecting was one of the hobbies every nobleman had.
interesting. Well, a couple observations that I have there quickly is that one is that is from the Traveler collection,
Yes.
which we should back up and introduce.
yeah. We haven't talked about Traveler.
We haven't. So let's talk about where this coin comes from and why its collection is so special. But also, what's very interesting to me, Ursula, is that coin is graded by NGC.
Yes.
Wow, you know, you guys have come a long way to entomb your coins in
Yes,
American plastic.
yes, it has been encapsulated. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a selection of the coins in the auction, including that piece, have been encapsulated. Though that is the earliest coin that's been encapsulated. The early coins, it was decided it was better for the coins not to be offered in plastic, because the collectors actually prefer them not to be. But some of the later coins, so the coins that we'll be looking at together today, some are in plastic and some of them aren't, because we felt that there's a modern grading scale, which, as you well know, is designed for modern machine struck coins, doesn't always reflect coins struck doesn't sort of take into account the variables you find on medieval and coins and coins from the early modern period.
Of course, and you know we will always have these discussions between Europe and America about the veracity, let's say, of certifying coins and putting them in plastic, where European collectors love to touch the coins and feel them, and American collectors said the same thing. To be fair, and we've evolved to some degree, but not every American coin wants to be in slabbed, or every collector wants their coin slabbed. But it's just much easier for storage. I mean, I'm sure if it's easier to handle a coin of that nature in that holder. If it weren't in
these big slabs, they do take up quite a lot of room.
Yeah, but on the other hand, when I'm dropping this coin, I think we should mention what this is estimated and what you
what is that worth?
This coin to bring.
This coin is estimated in our sale on the 6th of November at 1.25 million Swiss francs.
Okay.
So we're
about
looking
1.5. I'm not sure.
$1 million. Yeah. In that yeah.
And are you thinking that's a conservative number, or is it probably?
Well, it's a very difficult coin to price. It is. Before the modern bullion issues of, say, the 1990s, it's one of the biggest gold coins ever struck in the world, and only 4 specimens are believed known for this coin. one of which is actually over in America in the Smithsonian collection, and
Interesting.
another is in Budapest in the National Museum there. And then there was a lesser inferior specimen in the Virgil Brand collection, a name I'm sure many of your listeners will
Of
be
course.
familiar with. And then there is this piece from the Traveller collection, and the Traveller acquired this piece in the 1930s, like he did all the coins in his collection. And we can speak a bit more maybe about the Traveller because it's such an extraordinary story.
I'd love to hear it.
This is a vast collection, numbering nearly 15,000 coins, that was assembled by a very wealthy individual between 1930 and 1939. And he was a gentleman of leisure. He'd sold his share of his family business and discovered coins. This was shortly after, obviously, the Wall Street crash and all the turbulence, economic turbulence. And he started buying gold bullion initially and quickly discovered he had the collecting bug and became a very serious collector. And what's so wonderful, we have his diary, we see him traveling around the world, all over Europe, and then over to the Americas, North America and South America, meeting dealers, meeting collectors, and buying coins. And he built an absolutely phenomenal collection, which when the Nazis were going to invade his home country, he buried on his property. The Nazis invaded, and he unfortunately had a stroke and died. And the family left the coins buried until the 1990s, when his aged widow realized that her years were numbered, and she was the last remaining person who knew where the X marked the spot. And they retrieved the collection and then started a process of inventorying and valuing it. And we sold part one of the collection in May, which was all British coins, which I catalogued, and we sold 200 British milled gold coins for 6.4 million Swiss francs hammer. And this is part two, which is going to be sold in November, which is featuring coins of Central, Eastern, and Northern Europe, about 500 coins, all gold, including many spectacular rarities, including the 100 ducat that we just looked at.
So that's just an amazing story. So this woman, this widow, finally says, "Oh, by the way, there might be $100 million worth of coins in the backyard. You might want to dig them up. Here's a little slip of paper. Happy Easter. Go looking for them." And they ultimately dig them up in the late 1990s, 60 years after he passes, and then it takes them another 25 years to bring them to market.
To bring them to market, yeah. I mean, the circumstances are now that the family wished to sell them. So
Okay, that's going to be quite the tax bill, I imagine. So he was, and do we know his name, this collector, or we're not using his
no, the
name?
family want to remain anonymous. I think he was a prominent individual, and I think they're prepared that I think it'll come out. I think maybe
Okay,
numismatic detectives out there might be able to work out from looking at the sale records, because a lot of these coins were bought at public auctions in the
sure.
1930s, or through prominent dealers for which sale records may exist. So the name, I think, and I think that will actually add a lot of interest to the story. But for the time being, it's been billed as the Traveller's Collection because he traveled the world pursuing his passion for coins.
It reminds me a little bit of the J.P. Morgan story, right? Wasn't he, the
Yeah.
world's richest man, was going around the world, and he had the collecting bug, and it wasn't coins, but it was literally everything
Well, he
else, I
did collect.
think.
He did collect coins. Yeah, he had a fabulous collection of British coins, but he only bought it shortly before his death, and his son
Mhm.
sold it. No, in a way, yeah, this is a sort of mini J.P. Morgan story of this man would stay at the finest hotels, and we know where he stayed. He'd be staying at the Ritz here in London or Georges V in Paris, and he would go and meet the great dealers of the day. And he got to such an advanced stage that he was buying whole collections on block. In the later 1930s, which is always the mark of an advanced, serious collector. He was being offered
Sure.
And of course, he was collecting at a great time because the market in the 1930s was depressed. Some of the coins, when I was cataloging the British section in part one in May, I could track the sale prices. These things were selling for more in the 1920s, and he was picking them up for less in the 1930s.
In the 1930s, the market had broken down completely. It was a huge problem, especially in Germany. A lot of the old German companies were nearly bankrupt at that point.
So it's not only the mark of let's say a serious collector that they would buy entire collections intact, but it's also the mark of an industry, as you say, or a whole hobby where he's paying the most. You know, we all say, oh, who is it that would buy an entire collection, and it's so hard to sell because in today's market, for example, this collection will not sell intact because it's too good of a market. We have a wonderful world coin market, and your collection will do fabulously for sure. But that's because and then nobody would really, I would think, consider saying let's just find one buyer for the whole thing unless the family insisted on such a thing, and then they wouldn't know what to price it at. And right, I mean, we
I
wouldn't.
think it's a bit. I mean, it's in some ways we need the auction for price discovery because
Right.
some of these rarities, they haven't been on. Some of them have never appeared, and it's been interesting. There are coins here that you won't find in the standard works like Kraus or
Mhm.
Friedberg on gold coins. That
Right.
they've
Right.
never appeared for sale. There are so many extraordinary rarities in this collection, that putting them through auction is the way to discover
Yeah,
what.
and
Yes.
I don't think we've said yet, but there's over 15,000 coins in the collection, and the
Yeah.
pre-sale estimate in total is estimated at 100 million US. Is that
I
correct?
think the insurance value was over 100 million US. Yeah.
Okay, right.
I
So this
think
is substantial,
it's a very substantial collection by any standard. Yeah.
and it's being sold by who is selling the collection? What auction house?
It's sold by Numismatica Ars Classica, and they brought in people like myself uh,
Hmm.
to assist them as a consultant. So I'm cataloging the British colonial and French elements of the collection, which are substantial. And then they're for this part that's being sold in November, Christian Stoess, who's a very well respected
Hmm.
numismatist, recently retired from the museum in Berlin, has catalogued this section.
I had occasion to meet Herr Stöss in Berlin at the
Oh,
Bode Museum last month, and
well,
so
there you go.
he I know something about all these matters because he was showing me. He wasn't showing me the coins. He was using pictures on a screen to catalog, and he's already communicating with Art Friedberg to make sure that the Friedberg Gold catalog, gold coins of the world, is getting
Absolutely, yes.
being updated. So it's just a really wonderful, it's just amazing. And it's thanks to Ursula, by the way, who introduced me to the Bode Museum, and Christian just happened to be working that day on the catalog. So I had a little background. I can say I didn't cheat. I just happened to meet him, and what a
Good.
what an honor for both of you. I have to say that's what I felt when I talked to him about it's a good job to catalog coins, and it's very important to do scholarly work, but it's also, you could go a whole lifetime and not see things like this, so it's got to be quite an honor.
No, it really is. I think it is. It's certainly a once in a generational event. I mean, we have to go back to something like the sale of the King Farouk collection in
Yes,
the
something like that.
1950s to see such an important group of world coins
Hmm.
hitting.
Are there any American coins in the collection that
There
are
are
worth?
very good American coins, yes.
Okay,
I'm
let's
not
hear
sure
it.
when they're scheduled to be sold. I don't think it'll be next year, probably the year after. We to give the market sort of time. These coins are going to be sold over. I think it's going to be 4 to 5 years to sell the entire collection, and it's going
Interesting.
to be sold so by geographical area. So we started with British. Now we're looking at Central Europe. There'll be a
Maybe to
dedicated
spread out the tax bill.
French coins. There'll be a sale of the Spanish speaking world. There's some fantastic Latin American coins in the collection.
Wow.
There's a
That's
very,
cool.
very important Chinese element, which is full of some rarities. And what's so exciting, some of the modern rarities he was buying fresh from the,
Modern.
when they were just coins being issued for circulation, and now they're incredibly rare coins.
Right. I'm reminded also, we talked about JP Morgan, and I'm reminded also about Henry Frick, who has an incredible museum in New York City. And I was there 2 weekends ago. They just reopened this museum. It's just one of the world's great small museums devoted to his
Fantastic.
collection.
It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
he's got two Vermeers, and he's got Monets, of course, and things like that. And he was buying, I think, Van Gogh almost when they were wet, as it were. So
Yeah,
what an eye that he recognized in the early, in, I don't know, the 19 teens or so, that this Van Gogh character was going to was really wonderful and worth having, because the Europeans, I don't think, had yet recognized that to the same extent. So
yeah, they have that
I see
instinct. I
Ursula
mean,
wanting to
that probably
disagree.
leads us. Maybe we could talk about. I mean, this is a coin, a modern
Hmm.
rarity in
Yeah.
the collection coming up. This is a Czech 5 ducat piece. I don't know if you're familiar with these coins, but they become very, very popular
Okay.
in recent years, and they're beautiful, very shallow engraving. Beautifully designed coins, very much in the spirit of the 1930s. I'd say the art on these coins is, and this coin, the Traveller bought in 1937, the year it was struck, but only 4 of this particular denomination was struck in 1937, and the last one that sold at auction made 800,000 euros. So that gives you an idea of the scale of some of the modern rarities in the collection.
Right.
Might I add a little bit background, perhaps, why this coin is so important to the Czech people?
Sure.
Because Czechoslovakia has only existed for a very, very short time as an independent state. Before, it has been part of Austria. Then after World War I, it was founded as a new republic. And at that point, they very soon after the foundation wanted to do something, a spectacular festival. And they did something really, really great, where people from all over Czechoslovakia were coming to Prague, celebrating, I think, 900 year of the birth of Saint Wenzel, of the saint of Czechoslovakia, patron saint of Czechoslovakia. And then the very, very first coin of that type was struck. It was developed for that festival, for that very festival. And then every year these coins were struck as a kind of investment. No, not investment, but at that time gold coins were still in use. So Czechoslovakia then was conquered by Germany. So this is one of the last issues. I'm not sure whether it's the last issue.
1938, yeah, we'd have to
Yeah, I think the 38 is the last issue, but it's the rarest issue of this row. And so this is very, very important to Czechoslovakian nationalism. And Czechoslovakia is one of the strongest market. Czechia, modern Czechia, is one of the strongest markets for collectors in Europe. This means whenever something is stroken in Prague, it will be immediately the double the price as when it comes from Vienna or from Graz or from whatever.
Yeah.
So this is therefore one of the most wanted coins in Czechoslovakia, and I guess that a lot of them will bid on that very coin.
So do you think that's a great story, Ursula. Thank you for the context. It sounds like what you're saying, it's the key to the set, as we would say here in the United States. And it's about the size of a double eagle. Is that what, it's about a $20 gold piece size, 1 ounce. And
it's about half a, it looks about the size, but it's a much thinner coin.
that's thinner. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe like an early $10
Yeah, like
gold
a
piece for
$10
us.
piece. Yeah.
Yeah, an early like a 1795 10. So That's interesting. And Ursula, you're suggesting that someone from the Czech Republic is likely to buy this coin, or do you think, it sounds to me like American collectors play hard, Asian collectors,
That's
obviously.
the case. I mean, you've obviously got a lot of people of Czech descent in the United States. So we often see that people in America, if they have British heritage, say that'll be the spur for them to be interested in British coins. But no, these are very popular in the World Gold series. But
Yeah.
this is a real sort of zenith piece.
And so, and this is selling in November, and then and is the auction in Zurich, or where is the
The
auction?
auction is taking place in Zurich on the 6th
Okay.
of November. Yeah.
So, and can anyone go to the auction?
Absolutely. They'd be very welcome to attend. It's in a lovely hotel, and
I'm sure.
the coins will be all in the Baro Lac.
Yes, it's very nice. You should go there.
You should definitely come. It's what's lovely is we know the traveler stayed there himself, and we actually know which room he stayed in. So,
Wow. Will you publish his diary at one point?
I think we'd like to do something like that as the sales advance. Yeah, we had in the forward to part 1, there was some of the pages were reproduced showing names of dealers he was visiting.
Yeah, I was seeing.
I like that. I know a good publisher in the United States if you need one.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Well,
I know somebody who is specialized in telling the story, the biography of people in that time.
Sure. Listen, it's always about the stories, and that's what makes coins rare. It makes rare coins interesting. It's not just enough to be rare. It has to have the story. And the fact that you said that there's a diary attached to his collecting and his travels, I mean, that adds untold value.
No, you've got so much interest because of that story, and we have had a lot of coverage because of this, the extraordinary circumstances of the formation of the collection and then its concealment to hide it from the Nazis. And so many of the coins have this extraordinary pedigree. I mean, some of the coins here are from very famous collections going back into the 19th century. Some of the very important coins he bought actually came from American collections, including Waldo Newcomer, who was a very important collector of US coins, but also formed a fantastic collection of world coins.
I think that's one of the coins that is coming from that collection.
Okay, let's see. And I'll put some blow-ups here, of course, of the coins to get better resolution. But what do you have there, Ursula?
I have a coin from the home of Dracula from Transylvania.
Okay.
Which is nice, isn't it?
Don't drop it. Don't drop it.
I will do my very best not to drop it. It's from one of the princes of Transylvania who were at that point between Habsburg and the Turkish people. And this one was the player from the Turkish. This is also a very, very rare coin. So what's the estimate of that?
That's estimate. I mean, the estimates in this sale are very conservative. It's understandably a deceased estate. So the estimate for that piece is 25,000. What I love about these coins is the wonderful picture.
Yeah.
Which is
I'll just buy it now, I would think.
Yeah, which is so it's so distinctive, the Transylvanian portraiture in this sort of 17th century period with these magnificent beards and hats.
Yes, the hats are very interesting because they differ so much from what you are seeing normally on
they didn't sort of follow the sort of Baroque style.
If you compare the two hat styles and the dressing, you see immediately these are two different cultures. So that's exactly from the same year as the other. I think for exactly or the same period. It's
16. Yeah.
They were contemporaries. Or let's show you a coin that is a little bit earlier. I don't know from which period is this one. Now you have to help me.
You know all about this coin.
I know only that it's imitating a very, very important Portuguese coin type, because the Portuguese were at that time the people who were bringing the gold into Europe. The Portuguese were sailing down to Africa at the Gold Coast. It still has this name today, and they were bringing the gold to Portugal, and from Portugal it was going up to northern Europe, and in northern
Hanseatic
yes,
traders.
yes, exactly. They had very, very good relation to the Hanseatic cities, and so they started to imitate this gold type. So it looks exactly like the Portuguese model.
The Cruzado, yes.
Exactly, the Cruzado with the cross behind. So,
and this is one of the earliest of the Portugal.
Exactly.
This is a series that was then struck in Hamburg for many years at this weight, and this is one of the earliest ones. And you have a few in museum collections, and the few that have ever come to market have generally been found sort of quite damaged or worn.
Yes.
Often with these large gold coins, which is quite understandable, they would be made into jewelry or mounted on chains to be worn.
Sure.
So to find one in this fantastic condition is quite special. And that piece is estimated at 75,000 Swiss francs.
The last one was a 6-digit figure when it sold in the end.
Yes, certainly we've seen them going in German auctions for over 100,000 in considerably worse condition than the piece here in the Traveller collection.
It's just amazing. What the comparison of the results for the British portion of the sale in May, you said that realized how much about?
That we had the sale realized just shy of 6.4 million Swiss francs for 200 coins.
And
against what was your estimate?
I think that was just over double the estimate.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a better idea that we can just surmise quickly that maybe you double the numbers, maybe some coins are 10 times and sometimes they're the same.
I mean, those what you have to say is those coins were more modern issues generally, which have more when we have more price data on those British coins. Some coins here are so rare and in such fabulous condition, there could be a considerable upswing, I think, in the prices realized.
Ursula, will museums compete for any of these coins, or is this really now where we're in the collector era?
I don't think that they have the funds. When a museum wants to have one of these coins, they need to find somebody who will buy it for them and then donate it or something like that.
Yeah, one never knows. I mean, we had museum interest in the previous sale. Given some of the rarities, you never know. The challenge for the museums is, as Ursula says, is they don't necessarily have big acquisition budgets here in Europe, so they need to secure funding from a private donor. But where there's a will, there's a way.
I absolutely want to show you a few other things. Look at this incredible thing.
Oh, goodness.
Yes, it's also very, very big. It's absolutely FDC. And it's historically very, very interesting because this is one medal. We know exactly how many were struck because they were only struck in order to be distributed to generals who helped to win the Prussian war against Austria in 1866. So around the portrait of the Prussian king, you have names of all the people who were given these medals as a reward. And I think it's how many?
13.
Yeah, only 13 medals were made. And this is extremely heavy. I have to read it. It's 418.45 grams. So this is nearly 1 pound of gold. 1 pound of gold struck in 1866.
I think it's one of the gold medals of the 19th century. So it's quite a beast.
Yes,
it's a beast. And so it's a gold medal that was given to the winning generals on the Prussian side in the Austro-Prussian War, leading up to the German unification.
Yeah, this is a really important moment, as you say, leading up to German unification. It leaves Germany as the really dominant power. So
Prussia.
to that, Prussia, yeah,
Prussia is a dominant power.
Prussia is in the German-speaking world, and
Exactly.
prior to that, it had been the Austro-Hungarian
Yes.
Empire.
Right. So this was like a turning point in history where the Prussian state had been fighting for who's going to take over, the Western Europe, the German speaking side, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire had been really the de facto leaders, and they were losing power quickly as the Prussian state. And I guess Bismarck was the lead general
exactly.
who was working to unify the country of Germany.
Exactly. That's the last step, let's call it the last step before the Prussian king, the king of Prussia, became the emperor of Germany.
Right. And then this is a massive symbol of that victory. That is incredibly cool. All right, it is a metal and it's not a coin, but it's made out of gold. It's very rare. What do we estimate that?
That one is estimated at 60,000 Swiss francs.
Okay, that sounds quite reasonable to me. I don't, based on, at least you got me so excited about these beautiful coins.
I think you're going to have to come to the sale.
I have the feeling.
I might. I want to. And you said something, Ursula, that I wanted to clarify for our American listeners. You said absolutely FDC. That is not a term that we use here. FDC is French for fleur de coin. Is that right? Or how do you put it? Fleur de coin. And that means what? Like wonderful condition or gem condition.
It means that it's exactly the way as it was struck, with the shiny the
mirrored surfaces.
I mean, I suppose it literally translates the flower of the dye. So it's got that mint brilliance as I think for America would be sort of gem-unk would be the
gem BU or something, or gem proof.
Gem BU, certainly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a proof. So I that's why I said that. But that's okay, good. So we've learned a little bit of vocabulary in the process. We learned something about German unification, and this is why I love talking about these things, because coins bring history into focus. And there's certainly many Americans that know this history, or at least a small number, who have been avid collectors over the years, as you know, and then they've put together some amazing collections. So like the Tyrant collection that is built here in the United States, these are coins that are worthy of the Tyrant collection for sure. I don't know the collector, but
absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know if he does Tyrants of the Danube or Tyrants of the Rhine, but there'd certainly be scope to because he has his different themes, doesn't he? Like Tyrants of the Thames, but these are exceptional rarities, and
yes,
many of them are in the finest states of preservation that's possible to acquire.
And I'm sure that few of these emperors would deny that they were tyrants. So
that's very true.
Yeah. An emperor in the Holy Roman Empire was certainly no tyrant, but you had courts you could go to, and you had procedures. You could defend yourself. So I wouldn't call him a tyrant, but that's
maybe some of them have tyrannical tendencies.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and collections of this nature also create collectors, don't they? Let's say somebody today who's just a historian. Let's say someone who's like me, but actually has the ability to buy great rare coins and the financial resources. So it wouldn't be a leap.
Yeah, you've got the story, and you've got this extraordinary diverse material in top quality. I think it will stimulate the market, and we already saw with the first sale in May, people who'd never bought coins in a coin auction before competing on very serious coins at quite a high level and winning them. So this traveler story has really gripped people's imagination.
I think it's incredibly exciting, and there's much more that you can find about the Traveler collection on the websites, which I'll post the links to and things like that here in the video. I think it's thetravelercollection.com actually is the main site.
This sale is going to be published online tomorrow, so you'll be able to find it through the various portals. I don't know if you're how familiar the American market is with Numisbids and Sixbid and the bidder portal, and also the Numismatica Ars Classica website. This auction will
Yeah.
be
Well, this will be good
covered.
for all of those sites. I imagine that this kind of collection will draw to the
I
highlights.
I have another thing
Oh
we should
goodness.
talk about. We should talk about these two coins, which are coming from a hoard, from a
Hmm.
hoard that has been made in Great Britain. And I think, David, you should tell us why it's possible in Great Britain that a hoard is found and all the coins of the hoard are afterwards sold very officially in an auction sale. Would you
Thanks.
tell us a little bit
Happy to
about
talk
that?
about these two coins are not part of the Traveller collection. They're an auction that I've organized and catalogued, which was taking place the day before the Traveller sale, also in Zurich. And these two coins are from a hoard of coins that was discovered during the lockdown by a family gardening here in England, in the south coast of England, and they were adjusting the fence that divided one of their flower beds in their garden, and they found these strange circular discs in a lump of clayey soil and washed them under the kitchen tap, and lo and behold found some glinting gold coins dating back to Tudor times. And in total they recovered 64 coins, and then 6 coins were subsequently found by an archaeological dig that took place. And what we have in Britain is a fantastic system where people are encouraged. I mean, it's the law that if you discover a treasure, you have to declare it, because the Crown, the British state, takes an interest in it. But we have this mechanism through the Treasure Act, which is a government act which was revised in 1996 with further revisions subsequently, and a scheme called the Portable Antiquities Scheme, which encourages people to declare their finds, and then they're valued with a formal process that's organized through the British Museum. And then a museum, if it wants to, is given the opportunity to acquire them at the value that's set. And if no museum is in a position to acquire the coins or can't raise the funds, they're returned to the finder and they're allowed to be sold. So it's quite
So all
a
of these will be sold? All the 64 coins you said?
yeah, the entire hoard numbers 70 coins,
Okay.
69 gold and 1 silver, and they can cover 100 years of English history. So from the 1420s, the medieval period, right up to the Tudor period. The last coin that we have here was struck in 1536 to 1537 during Henry VIII's brief marriage to his third wife, Jane Seymour. So that gives us a date to date the deposition of the hoard from. And these coins will all be sold at auction on the 5th of November.
And what kind of estimates do you have on those coins?
So these coins, we're looking at estimates, and the estimates range on this beautiful gold angel where of Henry VII. You see St. Michael spearing Satan, driving, who's depicted as a dragon. And this coin's estimated at 6,000 Swiss francs.
Okay.
This crown of the double rose in the name of Henry and Jane Seymour is estimated at 5,000 Swiss francs. Again, conservative estimates, but a wonderful story that's generating a lot of interest here in the UK, because who doesn't do gardening and dream of finding buried treasure?
Gardening is a national hobby in Great Britain,
It certainly is, yeah.
Right. And so this is going to get everybody out there even more, I suppose. But you know, in the United States, what we love is a treasure. We don't get much buried treasure here. So we hear those stories of buried treasure in England and Europe and so on. And so we have a very strong affinity for treasure coins. You know, shipwreck coins fall into that category of the buried treasure. So I think there would always be interest. And again, at the price points you're mentioning, I don't know how conservative your estimates are, but they sound infinitely reasonable to my ears.
Yeah, you've got fantastic historic coins here, 500 years old, in superb states of preservation, very, very high grades.
Yeah.
and they're very accessible. And you've got a gold coin of Henry VIII. Well,
Yeah.
You can't buy a Holbein portrait of him, but you can buy a magnificent gold coin.
Yeah, I'd rather have the coin,
Yeah.
to be honest. Uh, well,
So
that's awesome. That's
and I've got one
really
other
great.
coin here. One other coin, great modern rarity to
Yeah,
show you.
you
Another,
promised me to tell the story about it.
another very rare coin. But
No fighting, Ursula.
because we've had all these gold coins, I thought we'd show a silver coin.
Okay.
This is a little silver shilling, but
Okay.
it's struck for Edward VIII, who very famously only ruled for a few months before he abdicated, so he could marry the woman he loved, who was an American called Wallis Simpson. And this is one of only 6 silver shillings that was struck for Edward VIII prior to his abdication. This was preparing the proof sets that would be struck to be issued at the time of his coronation in May 1937. So only six of the sets were struck, and this shilling is from one of the sets, and 2 sets are at the Royal Mint here in the Royal Mint Museum here in the UK. One's in the British Museum. One is in the Royal Collection at Windsor Castle, which famously Edward himself asked his brother, who succeeded him, George VI, to give him, and George refused. And then there is one set in the Tyrant Collection, which we mentioned earlier, and then there is one other set which was divided up, and the £5 from that set sold in the Paramount Collection for over $2 million. And this is the silver shilling from that set. So one of 6 known, an ultra rare modern British coin from an iconic figure.
And I love that story. I love his abdication story. It's 20th century. It's it's World War II-ish, and it's got the American twist. What do you think that coin estimates at?
This collection, this coin is estimated at 50,000 Swiss francs, which again I think it's from actually an amazing collection of English silver coins formed by a doctor from upstate New York, Dr. Irving Schneider, who started collecting British coins in the 1960s because he got frustrated that he couldn't get the US coins he desired in the condition that he wanted them. And he discovered British coins, which gave him a much greater depth of history and seemed much more reasonable vis-a-vis the US coins at the time. And I think it's still the case today. I mean, I don't know what a modern US rarity silver coin of that size that were only one of six known would make, but I think it'd be considerably more than 50,000.
Yes,
No,
when you connect
I can help you
such a history.
Yeah, you could tell it. Look up the gray sheet, John.
Yeah, well, I have that up here. My favorite coin is an 1894 S Barber dime. So not too dissimilar, only about 11 known of 24 struck. Has a great backstory. Not as great as your story. It's a good story. And stories always make a big difference. And that's basically a $2 million coin.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, I think this is what all these coins that we've been looking at today. I mean, the American market is the most advanced market in the world, but European coins, ancient coins, can offer incredible value vis-a-vis US coins. If you could, look at the comparative rarities of some of this material and the historical interest of some of these coins.
So before we close out, we're getting to our time, but before we close out, question would be, if you were to buy coins in your auction in Zurich, how difficult is it a difficulty to get them shipped to the United States as an American buyer? Is that it?
Absolutely not. Numismatica Ars Classica have a huge amount of experience in this, and we very much easily facilitate sales to the US via the sister office in Chicago. So we take care of all the shipping to Chicago, and then they're shipped on from Chicago to buyers in the US. And
perfect. Good to know. And in your auction as well, obviously.
By Shannon, yes, because my auctions are sold in partnership with Numismatica Ars Classica. So
I see. Good partnership.
And everything is taken care of by Numismatica Ars Classica through the
Okay.
Chicago office.
I think
Well,
that's one of the most important things we also should mention. It seems to become the best solution for American buyers who want to buy in European auction sales or at European dealers, that they cooperate with American or European dealers who can manage the transport procedure for them. Because it's you might spare a little bit of money if you don't do that, but on the other hand, you are not sure whether then you won't pay much more on taxes because one of the logistic enterprise does not know which code they should take for coins. So
yeah, you want to be working with an experienced
yeah,
in-house or dealer
don't
that
play
has a
don't play
customs
games.
broker,
Don't.
'cause
exactly.
just coins in a FedEx box, unfortunately, are being stopped and getting charged tariffs, although historical coins are considered informational goods and no tariff should be levied. So it's
Mhm.
definitely best to work when, and the big auction houses and dealers in Europe are now well set up to facilitate
handle that.
Mm.
So if you're thinking about, if you have an interest in anything with the Ars Classica auction and you're in the United States, you should talk to Shanna, right? Shanna Schmidt.
Shanna Schmidt, absolutely. She can help facilitate the bidding, or you can bid directly with the house, but shipping can be made and payment can be made in US dollars.
Perfect. Perfect. And with you to contact you directly for your sales. And if you have a
Absolutely. I mean, we're all in partnership together to facilitate things for clients who want to participate in the sales.
Wonderful. Well, I think it's a revelation for our audience to learn about, how incredibly rich and interesting this whole market, the collecting of, again, non-United States coins, and where the stories often do intersect with American collectors or wives, as it were, and things like that. So it's really exciting. And again, not only is the quality great, but you should always work with a trusted source, especially when you're buying expensive coins. And certainly the people on this podcast are among the top in the world. And so we really appreciate you joining us today. I know you're busy with Coinex, so I won't keep you any longer. And everybody who's watching, thank you for watching. Please put questions and comments into the YouTube channel so that we can respond to them and give you answers or connect you with the right people if you're interested.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to take part.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ursula. You're the best.
Always a pleasure talking to you.